bear with the technical difficulties if I go in and out, if there's an echo. Everyone is welcome up tonight. Everybody. My friends, my foes, my enemies, my exes, my haters, my lovers. Everybody's welcome. Long as you cam up. That's my only rule. Long as you cam up and you remain respectful, because you know, I'm real quick on the block button. That hasn't changed. But I would love to hear from all of you if you have any questions. If you and I had it out, you know what I mean, a year ago, you could come up and we can discuss that, right? But long as you cam up, I don't do avatars anymore. You know that. You're welcome to hide and lurk. You guys can do that as well. But we're going to cover a lot of shit that went down while I was gone. All the hot topics that are popping off. So any questions, I'll try to catch in the chat. You guys already know what it is. Pa que lo sepa, okay? And we will, Umar school. We're going to cover that as well. Yeah, Umar's in a very strange, peculiar place right now. But we all saw it coming. And I think I need an apology, okay? Because a lot of the shit that's exploding right now on social media, I called it. All right, 1 or 2 years ago, I called it all. From Umar to black fatigue to race relations, I called all of that, to separation, okay, from the degenerates in our communities. I called all of that and caught a lot of heat for it. And now everybody's on board with the BS, okay? So I need some apologies tonight too, and some appreciation. Because I just started the channel again, I don't have a super chat option, but I got the Cash App. The Cash App is still on and popping. So if you want to support, of course, Cash App on the block with Jen. It is scrolling on the bottom. Welcome, mama, back, because ain't no super chat button going on. Because YouTube is like, you ain't been here for a year. Let's take that back, okay? But it's all good. We're going to keep it pushing. I am happy to be back. The game needs me, okay? Let's keep it 100. The game needs me. All right, so I'm back. And again, I got, if you've seen any of my promos, I did get DMs and emails for me to come back. That made me feel good. So I'm like, okay, my voice is needed, so I'm coming back, okay? I seen a lot of copies, by the way, out there. Seen a lot of chicks trying to do what I do, okay? But y'all ain't me. So I'm happy to be back, guys. Welcome, 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 all block stars. Again, I'm happy to see you. Ask any questions, or if you want us to cover any topics, throw it in the chat. I'll throw it up. If not, I'm just gonna go on ahead. I picked some topics that I think we should cover. What's up, Don Levon on the block? Good to see you, sir. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay. And you know me, I want to keep it spicy straight away. So we're gonna get into some spicy topics. No Saint, how are you?
Hello, everybody. It's been a while. This is so much fun to be back tonight. The music brought back so many memories. Yeah, I'm ready to go. A lot of topics to talk about. A lot of people I'm seeing in the chat. A lot of familiar faces. It's awesome. Don Levon, how you doing? We got to get calligraphy back up here, sing a song for us. I love that song. No, it's been great. It's been it's been a long time, and yeah, I mean, we got a lot to talk about. We really do have a lot to talk about. I mean, we kind of disappeared for a while, but not all. I mean, Jen and I have been speaking since. I mean, we've seen each other a few times since then. I'm actually going out to see her next month again. So we've been talking, and we've always said, we got to get back on here. We got to get back on, we got to do it again. So, but we are rusty as far as like our equipment. I got to purchase some more stuff. Jen's having had a little technical difficulty. Once in a while, you see her screen. She knows about it. Her screen will blank out for about a half second. We don't know why. So if anybody has any suggestions out there, put it in the chat, please. But no, man, happy to see everybody. I'm happy to be back.
And anybody who was usually up before, feel free. I threw the StreamYard link is pinned to the top. If you guys want to come up, you got to cam up. Okay, I want to see faces. I don't want to see avatars or cartoons. Good to see everybody. No Saint will be out here with me on the West Coast next month. We will be doing Man on the Street in Las Vegas. So stay tuned for that. We will be on the Strip, okay, bringing you interviews from the Strip and people visiting Las Vegas. All kinds of people. I'm going to be asking all kinds of crazy questions. So we bringing that to you as well. Early October, you guys, maybe you know or you don't know, but my attorney is on Diddy's defense team. And once the sentencing happens, I will be interviewing my attorney about the case. Of course, he can't speak about the case prior to that, but after the sentencing, I will be flying to New York to interview my attorney, who's on Diddy's attorney team. So we'll get a lot of inside scoop on the case and how, you know, they came to what they came to, and little extras. So I will be doing that. And I'll bring that to you as well. So it's going to be hot on the blocks. It's going to be a lot of juicy stuff. It's going to be a little different because we're going to be outside more. And we're going to have some really, really juicy interviews to you. And we'll be doing this as well. So you guys have to like and subscribe and rock with me because I'm bringing, this is On the Block 2.0, okay? It's going to be a lot more juicy and a lot more exciting. Again, ask me whatever you like about whoever. And we will be candid and tell you what the deal is, okay? But I'm still hot. I'm still here. That ain't changed. All right, no saint. So shall we get into these topics? Oh wait, this question, I love it. Are you still single? Maybe yeah, maybe no. Maybe I'm in love right now. Who knows? Okay, guys. So let's get into these topics. So guys, we have Diddy, we have lawsuits, Tyler Perry, Shannon Sharpe, Drake versus UMG. There's a lot of stuff. Sydney Sweeney, Good Genes. So we're going to jump into all of that. But if there's something that you want us to talk about straight away, throw it in the chat and I will grab and that's what we will talk about. Okay. Yeah. Race relations. Thank you, Kimia. What you know about this bigger rift between the Hispanics and the Black people today? Great question. We're going to cover that as well. So I wanted to jump into the Good Genes thing. And again, everything that I talked about a year ago is on and popping now, okay? It is on and popping now. You guys know that I am, okay, an advocate for eugenics. Now, people hear eugenics and they think I mean throw people into ovens, okay? People hear eugenics and they think that I mean throw people off cliffs like the, you know, in the movie 300. When I say eugenics, I mean breed, mate, pick a partner to have children with that gives that child the best opportunities in life via their intellect, via their bodies, via their faces, right? But you guys use your sperm and seed with abandon and impregnate anybody from anywhere. So I'm an advocate for eugenics in that way. Not eugenics from back in the German days where it's like kill everybody who's not hot. It's not what I mean. So piggybacking off that, Sydney Sweeney, the actress from Euphoria, I think she's basic looking. Some people think she's hot. I wouldn't look twice at her if I walked past her. But, you know, she's the carbon copy, blonde, blue-eyed. She did an American Eagle commercial. She said, I got good genes, meaning her denim. And TikTok blew up. And Instagram blew up. And YouTube blew up. Saying that it was a dog whistle for promoting eugenics, but the bad kind of eugenics, right? Like the only important people are white people, right? That's how everybody took. I didn't take it like that. I thought she was saying she had good denim. But even if she was talking about her genetics, it didn't bother me at all because I think I have the best genes, right? My daughter is stunning. I literally planned for that. Her dad was a bodybuilder, competitive bodybuilder, you know what I mean? Tall enough, attractive enough. And now my daughter is stunning, right? So I practice what I preach here, okay? And I know everybody thinks their kids are stunning, but if you see my daughter, those of you who know me personally, you know my word ain't no damn hustle, okay? So I do believe in eugenics that way. From the white desk, no saint. What do you think about eugenics, genes, and do you think that Sydney Sweeney was that like they say a Republican or a white supremacist dog whistle to promote, right? To promote white genes. You got white genes. What say you?
Okay, I guess we'll get that we'll get the last part first. As far as if she's, she's a Republican. She is. I don't think she's a white supremacist. I thought that was a ridiculous stretch from the far left. Yeah. So no, I don't. I think it was a commercial. I think it was. It was a great. Actually, I thought it was a great ad, and maybe they got what they wanted. They got a lot of publicity from people getting upset with it. But yeah, I really thought that was a stretch, and it was really ridiculous. The other part, eugenics. I mean, in a lot of ways, I think when you're beautiful or handsome, that is playing into eugenics as well, because you're looking for someone that is in your lane, as you used to say a lot, someone in your lane. You're trying to get the best of the best. And if you think about it from an evolutionary standpoint, if you pass those genes on, they'll have more of a chance to actually pass those genes on, because they're going to, chances are they're going to be a good looking kid or a good looking, man or woman. And I think that's part of an evolutionary thing as well. But, unfortunately, love doesn't always work that way. A lot of other things come to play when it comes to someone who's in power. It's a separate kind of evolutionary draft. Someone who has a lot of power might not have to be that good looking to be with someone who is good looking. And then you don't know it's kind of a crapshoot what the kid's going to look like. Because sometimes you see they look really nice or really good looking, and sometimes they're not so good looking. But no, as far as Sweeney goes, yeah, I didn't get it. I just didn't get it.
So let me ask you this, No Saint. Do you think there's such a thing as superior genes, and who has them?
No, I don't think there's anything such thing as superior genes. I think first of all, well, we're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into where I believe everybody comes from. But no. I think, I think we all know that the most diverse gene pool comes out of Africa. The most diverse people are in Africa. But as far as superiority, everybody in every ethnicity are going to have people with great genes and people with sucky genes, so I don't believe that there's one group of people that has a superior gene.
Okay, so let's get into stereotypes a little bit, right? Because there's truth in stereotypes. Do you think that Black people make better athletes than white people or Latin people? Do you think Latin people are better cooks? Do you think Asians are better at math and violins? Like, let's keep it 100.
Well, I think that in West African, it's the West African people that many of them have the quick twitching muscle. I think that in certain things that call for speed, they do have an advantage in that. Evidently, not all white people are slow, but more white people than Black people are slow, or more. It's not all, right? Not all, but then there are other sports where that doesn't really play as much into, right? And it's also where you grow up and because there's plenty of people in West Africa that, well, we're talking about genes. I'm going into another thing about sports, like not everybody's good in certain sports because they just don't practice them all the time. But as far as genes go, yeah, the West African do have advantages when it comes to pure speed, for sure. But that doesn't translate to they're better in all sports, because there are certain sports that you don't need speed for.
Do you think that environment causes this race to be more violent or that race to be more violent? If you had to pick the most violent race or ethnicity, what would you say, No Saint?
Jen, you're on one tonight. You throw you're going straight into the cold, the deep side, as they say. No, I think it's all situational. If you have enough resources, if you have enough food, if you're very comfortable, then you're not more likely not going to be violent. If you get into situations where you are struggling to survive. And it's, I mean, everybody has the potentiality to be, if that's the right word, to be violent. I mean, if we all tomorrow didn't have a secure food source, you'd see everybody being violent, right? So I think that's where that comes from.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. You should run for mayor next. You should run for mayor. So do you think that Sydney Sweeney, Good Genes, was much ado about nothing? It was just a gene ad. It wasn't a dog whistle to promote white people genetics.
No, I don't think it was a dog whistle. And if it were a dog whistle, I don't think she had anything to do with it. But I really don't. I think that's a weak whistle. That would be a weak whistle. There's a lot more things being said in this country right now that are much stronger dog whistles than I have great genes. And so what if she does have great genes? The thing that I had a problem with when I said, okay, let's say it was a dog whistle, or let's say it was a play on my blonde hair and blue eyes. Doesn't mean she doesn't have great genes, but it doesn't mean the other person has worse genes either. They could have great genes too, you know? It's like, it's like maybe some sprinter can say, I have great genes. Well, that's true. You do have great genes. You have better genes than me when it comes to running that 100-yard dash, So, yeah, I thought it was really just people looking to be outraged about something.
What I like most about is like I said before, hate is very lucrative, drama is lucrative, cancel culture is lucrative, and now they made the people that was saying Sydney Sweeney was this, that, the third. They made her a global name now, right? Because so many people were talking about how horrible she was and how horrible the ad was. So now people know who Sydney Sweeney is, and they just catapulted her to A-list celebrity. She's just an actress on Euphoria and did a couple commercials and things like that. And now she's A-list celebrity thanks to the hate and the cancel culture and the dog whistles and all of that crap, and TikTok and Instagram. They really did catapult her to superstardom overnight over one ad. And I used to always tell people, you think that hate is going to diminish people, and it really blows them up in this environment. And people still don't get that, right? They still don't get that. Speaking of,
Yeah, and let's I saw Irby said something and made me think. I think he's right. She has great genes, and when it comes to looks, the jury's still out on great genes, right? What if she dies at 35? Not that I'm wishing that on her. She dies at 35 from some dreadful disease, Huntington's disease or something like that. Well, then she doesn't have great genes. She just had genes that made her good looking, a decent looking person. So, I mean, although I think, as we said before, when you're good looking, you can spread your genes easier. Doesn't always mean it's the best, but as you say, with eugenics, we're getting to a point, and we're already there. It's just not being put out in the market where people can choose what their babies are going to be, what they're going to look like. If they're smart, or everybody's going to choose be a genius if they're fast. So the capability's there. It's just whether people are going to get over you're playing God, you're playing God. But I think in my opinion, I think it's going to go to the people with money, and they're just going to continue to project their genes and their good, get their babies designed to be the best of the best. I mean, I think that's the scary possibility. But anyway.
So let me ask you this: would you prefer that your children be good look in this environment, in this country? Would you prefer your children be good looking or smart? Chat, you could answer as well.
It really depends. I mean, with my kids, they're all boys. So I think smart or skilled would do them really well. They don't have to be the best looking. I mean, you don't want to be ugly. That nobody wants to be ugly or so. But for women, I think it's a toss up. If I had a daughter, I'm like, well, she can be really gorgeous and get to some of the same, and maybe even get into some things without even having to actually have not that I'm not saying that, well, you know what I'm not saying, but I'm saying that it gives you more chances and not have to be as skilled or as smart. You're going to get the door opened a lot quicker. Right. But I don't think guys necessarily have that advantage as much. So I think I'd rather them be skilled and smart.
So somebody asked a great question about Beyonce, because Beyonce, it's interesting. Beyonce had the Levi's ad before Sydney Sweeney had the American Eagle ad. And who was it that asked, would it be different if it was Beyonce? It obviously is different. You know, I've seen Beyonce's Levi's ads. She's, you know, her skin looks lighter. The wigs are platinum blonde, not just blonde, but platinum blonde, where if you're scrolling, she looks like a white woman at a glance, right? And then when you take a second look, you're like, oh, that's Beyonce. So, you know, I think Beyonce has been cosplaying a white woman for a while now, especially pushing this whole Cowboy Carter and this whole, you know what I mean, black people invented country music, which is ironic because using her looks to check the irony. Beyonce's using her looks to remind people black people invented country music. And some people may say yay or nay, or they did or they didn't. But let's just talk about how she brought it back to black people. She did it cosplaying as a white woman. And I thought that was very curious. Like, she's not on there with an afro and her fist up, right? And some leathers. She's looking as white as possible with her hair as blonde as possible to remind the world that black people invented country music. I thought that was bizarre, right? I thought that was bizarre. I was like, so you're cosplaying a white woman to remind people that black people invented country music. What do you think about that? No say. You guys can cam up. I will drop the link. You guys can feel free to cam up if you like.
Well, I always think of where the market's at, and she's got to consider that too when she's making a record. She goes to a studio and says, I want to make a country record. You know, the afro might not play. I mean, listen, she already got flack, right? She got flack from some hardcore for whatever reason, they're taking our jobs type of country people. But you've got to kind of, when you're, especially if you're not, your population is a smaller population and you want to make the most money you can, you got to play to the bigger population. And in this day, more people that are white are listening to country. So you're trying to kind of play that line of, I'm bringing black people in because I am black, but I can't alienate the other side because I might only sell, you know, I don't know, 10 million records or whatever. I don't even know what a little is today with the plays and everything. I don't even know what a lot and a little is. 10 million seems like a lot anyway. But so, yeah, I get it. I mean, I get like, and that's the biggest complaint you hear every time, you know, every time someone gets famous and they start trying to kind of be trying to be racially more ambiguous, or at least trying to, you know, it's a big deal, but you gotta play the game sometimes, I guess.
So there's hypocrisy in playing the game, because if you're cosplaying white to capture a white audience, but you're claiming you're all about your black community, there's hypocrisy and BS in there. It's BS. And it's interesting you say, you know, Afro wouldn't work. Well, why not? Black people invented country music. What's wrong with Beyonce and a big old Afro saying, you know, we invented country music? So I think there's a lot of hypocrisy in there. I find it rather interesting. But I think Beyonce violated more than Sydney Sweeney allegedly violated, because Sydney Sweeney is looking like how she was born, right? And how she is. Where again, I say Beyonce looks like a white woman the whole time she was promoting her country album, insisting black people invented country music. I just found it ironic. It was interesting. It was interesting to me. A little interesting. I want to move on from there for a minute about the vote. Right? A lot of people having a difficult time with our president. But I don't want to talk about him so much as I want to talk about the infighting that has blown up on social media real bad. I mean, blacks are fighting Latins, Latins are fighting black, Latins are fighting Latins, blacks are fighting blacks, white people are. It's very, very interesting. right? Remember I told you guys before, like a year ago, people that got beef usually crab sideways. They go sideways. They don't fight up, right? Black people and Latin people don't attack up, right? They don't attack the white people that they claim are causing the chaos. They're like crabs and they move sideways. So black people attack Latin people attack black people, and then in the middle is a bunch of people kissing ass, staying neutral, right? So I wanted to talk about Latinos versus Latino votes. There are a lot of Latins now on social media attacking other Latins for voting Republican, right? And I find it very entertaining and hilarious, even, right? That they're attacking each other, blaming the other group, blaming the Cubans in Miami, blaming the Puerto Ricans in Florida for voting in Trump. And I think it's a great design. Keep the have-nots and the commoners fighting, right? While the people they claim are causing all the chaos just keep rising to the top like cream. What do you think about No Saint? What do you think about the Latinos versus the Latinos? They ready to rip the tacos out of everybody's hand. They mad.
So, no, it's sad. It's sad, but it's predictable too, because as I've learned on this show in the past, it's not a monolith, and especially it's not even there's a lot of cultural dissimilarities when it comes to Latino people. When it comes to most people, not just Latino people, when it comes to most of this country, we have cultural differences that sometimes can divide you, right? So, but I do think it's sad because the people that are putting the pressure on some Latino community really don't necessarily, other than the Cubans, they don't really see Latinos as anything. They pretty much see them as in one bucket, right? They think they're all okay. They're all stick together, or they're all together. And so that's a tough one, but I think it's sad. And I think it's sad. Well, we'll probably get into that subject later. I think it's sad when anybody who was in a situation that knows that they're people that look like them were under similar situations at one time, and you're cheering against another people that are. I think that's horrible, and I think that's sad. I do.
And then the white people keep on keeping on. Okay, guys, I dropped the StreamYard link again. If you want to come up, you can. Ray Pearson, the nephew, says the Logan Pauls versus the true Puerto Ricans and the Serranos of the world aligning themselves with Jake Paul and saying they're from Puerto Rico. Yeah, Jake Paul is interesting because, as you know, the Paul brothers moved to Puerto Rico to avoid taxes like a lot of millionaires do. They're blocking off the public beaches and things like that. But they were doing that prior to Logan Paul. They were doing that prior to Logan Paul. It's just he gets a lot of press. And then, Logan Paul, he's boxing now. So, he's bringing a lot of boxing to Puerto Rico. And, he's backing the Serrano sisters, or one of the Serrano sisters is still boxing. So a lot of people, it's like some people are saying, the Serrano girl is self-serving because, she's all on Paul Hogan's jockstrap because he helped her make a payday that she would have never gotten without him. So of course you're going to go wherever you're being fed, right? Which a lot of people do, right? I'm sure she has her own bills and she wants to help her own family. So she's like, if the Puerto Ricans aren't helping me, this big old white guy is helping me, well, let me go over here, right? And I think that a lot of people do that, right? So it's like, even going back to Beyonce, yeah, you complain about you're the lesser of this or lesser of that, or you're oppressed, but as soon as a white person says, I have this opportunity for you, you just got to lean over here or look a little this way, more Caucasian than usual, then we'll hook you up with a fatter check. So there's a lot of hypocrisy and BS that goes on, and that's why I don't usually get involved in the politics of it, because I think at the end of the day, everybody's full of shit long as the check clears, right? Right. Is it messed up that the the beaches are getting privatized, and the locals in Puerto Rico are asked out on a lot of things. But it's too much infighting and too many people. Like, you got to fight your own people before you even begin to fight outside of your own people. So is it worth it? What do you think, No?
Well, I wanted to add that this is something that's not just happening like in Puerto Rico. It's happening in a lot of the countries that are less expensive. It's happening in this country. First of all, it's happening in this country. It's where people are getting pushed out of neighborhoods and people can't afford to live. We have a housing shortage that I don't know when the end of that's going to come. So everybody's rents up, and then people from California move out and they drive the prices up in Austin, and then those people move to Florida and drive the price up in Florida, and then people start moving to small towns in Mexico and in South America and in Eastern Europe, and then those prices go up, and then Airbnb on top of it. And what ends up happening is, where we used to be welcomed, we're no longer being welcomed in some of these places because people can't live. So yeah, that's what came to mind when you were talking. Also, your cousin said something that's so true. That's so true.
What was that?
Um, Talking about the divide, and that's the whole that is always what the elite will do, is they'll go in. That's how Europeans got over here, is they looked at the divide and played one against the other. It's like the oldest trick in the book, but we're still playing it for the unfortunately.
So I see Val the Voice in the building. Hola, mi amor. Val the Voice says, when the homes were affordable, natives don't take advantage of it. I know Val is into real estate. Is that an interesting point? Did the locals in Puerto Rico not give a damn about being able, at the time when those homes were affordable, did they not take advantage of that? And now they're shaking the finger at the white people that are coming in and taking advantage of that. Or do the white people, did they just have the money to do it? Maybe the natives didn't have the money to buy the homes, even though they were quote unquote affordable, right? What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, one of the things is, I saw it happen. A guy I worked with here who put in an offer on a house in Texas, in San Antonio, I believe it was. And the person was coming from California and basically came in with cash and more than what they were looking for, and got the house, because he came in, he's got more money. And that's just basic, that's just basic economics. I mean, if someone's going to come in and give you more money, sorry, but that is driving up prices. It is more, a lot of times it is the people with that have more money that are driving up prices, because you can go into Puerto Rico, if I go there, I might be able to get a house, but I guarantee you, if people from some of these states that have more wealthy people going there, I won't be able to afford a house, because I'm not going to be able to keep up with that. The other problem, as I said, we have and I don't know if the real estate person, Val the Voice, he could come. I'd love to hear him come up and have an opinion on this, because I was seeing where, I heard this on, there was a guy talking about it, and basically we have a shortage of houses and the interest rates are down, so people are up. So people who have, like me, who have a low interest rate, aren't moving. They're like, I got a nice payment. I am not leaving this house to go pay twice as much or whatever, right? So then you're not going to help the market that way. And what was interesting with this guy was showing you, is this was all set in stone back in like 1915, when they started zoning places for single houses and not apartments, to keep the neighborhoods separate. I thought that was fascinating, to make sure that people of color were in the zones that they could afford, which were apartment complexes and all that. And if you kept it single and more expensive, and now it's coming back to bite in the butt, because 70-something% of land is single dwelling houses, but we have a shortage of houses. I thought that was fascinating.
Speaking of Val the Voice, I told you guys, stay tuned. Val the Voice hosts Culture Coaches. And I will be pulling up 2 culture coaches over there, hip hop co-creators and what have you. And I will be bringing my attorney with me, who's also on the Diddy defense team. And I'll be dragging my attorney up there to Val the Voice, and no DJ No Frills, and we will be discussing the Diddy trial. That will be early October, ladies and gentlemen. So stay tuned. Subscribe to On the Block with Jen so you can stay tuned for that. That's gonna be juicy. And don't forget, September, No Saint will be out here with me on the West Coast, and we will be doing man on the street interviews on the Las Vegas Strip. So you know that's gonna be hella interesting. We will be outside. We will be outside. Okay, so speaking of, see that Puerto Ricans wearing too much like oh, Randy, whatever. I thought you had some legitimate. Speaking of Diddy, we learned a lot about Cassie during the trial. I have my own opinions on that. It's not a popular opinion, but when do I ever have a popular opinion? So Diddy. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat what you think of Diddy. I will tell you what I think, but it's what I think more about Cassie than I do about Diddy, to be quite honest. Also, the Punisher, one of the male escorts or prostitutes that Cassie hired, I actually know him from New York. If you guys are from New York and you ever saw those male strip reviews, you know the Punisher was always, Shacarri, he was always on the flyers. So it was funny to see him pop up on the trial. And, you know, New York City is big, but it's small, so everybody knows everybody. And I was like, what the hell is the Punisher doing on the trial? But apparently, the Punisher was one of the escorts that were hired by Diddy and Cassie. And I love how, you know, the Punisher was like, hey, I'm not I don't do sex for hire. I just jumped on an opportunity. And I thought that was real slick, because had that been a woman taking money to give up her cooch, then she would have automatically be stamped a prostitute. But for some reason, the Punisher thought that he wasn't a sex worker. He was just taking advantage of an opportunity. And it's interesting because the Punisher, if you watch his interviews, he actually fell in love with his trick. Okay. He, not I, said that he thought he was the only one that Cassie was hiring. And one time she tried to hire him, and the Punisher was busy in Great Adventure with his girlfriend. And he was like, I can't make it because I'm with my girl. And Cassie was like, can you send someone else? Right. So the Punisher made an excuse, you know, to his girlfriend and took his ass on over to Cassie and Diddy. So Punisher at the end of the day is a sex worker, but I know he's a guy and tried to clean it up and was like, hey, I'm not a sex worker. I just took advantage of an opportunity. And it was real sweet. Like, he's like, you know, the hooker with the heart of gold. He literally fell in love with Cassie and thought he was the only one. And then during the trial, we saw like 10 male escorts that he was, you know what I mean, a part of. So I thought that was interesting. See, so not only female prostitutes fall in love with their Johns, apparently the male prostitutes also fall in love with their Johns. So in short, I don't see Cassie as the victim as they tried to portray her. I thought she was complicit and very much a part of the sex trafficking that they were trying to charge Diddy with. I was one that said I thought Cassie should be charged as well, but in every case you need a victim to have a villain, right? And I'm sure the defense opted for, let's have Cassie as a victim versus a villain so we can get Diddy, right? We can't have them both as a victim because, you know, I mean, both as a villain, because who's going to testify against Diddy? So they needed that testimony from Cassie, which I think they was like, hey, you wear the victim hat so we can get this guy. So what do I think of the verdict? I think, you know, because he wasn't being tried for domestic violence, I think he's super guilty of domestic violence because he did whoop her, and we all saw that video. We can't hide it, right? We all saw her get whooped on. But he was not on trial for domestic violence. He was on trial for sex trafficking. I don't think he was sex trafficking. We heard from the male escorts. They were like, we weren't forced. Cassie didn't seem forced. She was very, very enthusiastic about hiring us. She even hung out with some of the male escorts without Diddy's involvement. You know, so a lot of things came out during the trial that I raised an eyebrow when I think of Cassie, you know, presenting herself as a victim. I don't know how her husband is doing it. because the things that came out, like the escorts pissing in her mouth two at a time, and her collecting semen and rubbing it on Diddy's nipples. Like, I don't know how the man, either he's super supreme simp, or I don't know, has the toughest skin I've ever seen on a man. I don't know how a man can move forward and continue having sexual relations and kiss her and stuff. But shout out to Alex Fine. I didn't think a simp of that level was was possible, but Alex Fine is doing it some way somehow, and who knows? Maybe in the future it'll wear on him the more he sees her. But a lot of graphic things came out during the trial that was interesting. But yeah, I thought Cassie was completely involved in a sex trafficking, but again, the prosecution needed that testimony, right? So without her, there are no victims. Without no victims, you can't get Diddy. So I think someone asked me what I think about the verdict. I think the verdict is fair. He guilty on 2 charges of prostitution, right? Sex trafficking, I don't think so. Nobody was forced. Everybody was, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and let's do this, and the orgies and the text messages, and it's like, yeah, let's freak off. So look like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Look like regular model mogul, dealings. They were in an open relationship. I thought they were in a swinging relationship. I thought so. No, I don't think she was a victim of sex trafficking at all. I do think she was a victim of domestic violence, but she chose not to press charges on that, so we're not here, right? What do you think, No Saying? And I'll check the comments in the chat.
Yeah, I think that Mike's.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Okay, yeah, I think that that's one thing about we know about the government and federal and state. They're going to try to. They might not get you on what they want to get you on or what they figure you do, but they're going to find ways to trip you up, whether it's the RICO or something else. They're going to get you if they want you, and they wanted him. But no, I don't think. I thought what you said was interesting about. I think was it the Punisher that fell in love, or was he? Yeah, that's interesting because that means he's like, yeah. There's probably one rule they tell him is don't fall in love with the John or the Jonette or Jonette or whatever her name is, or the Joan. Don't fall for the Joan. And he took his eye off the money ball. But that's interesting. And as far as you say, I understand how people can put things aside. I do, but I don't think many guys or women can get over certain things. I can. I don't know. No. I kind of got it.
Hold on, No Saint. Hold on a minute, okay? Hold on. About to ask you. I know that you are a very welcoming, forgiving human being. I do know that. I can vouch for that. However, Alex Fine was asked to leave the courtroom. That's how graphic the text messages got, okay? So could you sit there and listen to your wife read text messages where not one but 2 men are pissing in her mouth? She's collecting semen for her boyfriend. She's literally picking out the escorts, and then they plaster a picture in court with about 10 to 15 escorts that she was getting ran through with on a constant basis over a decade. Could you take that woman back home and hold her and put your penis in her and not feel disgust? If you can, you can. Salute to you. So obviously her husband can. But you're not going to think twice, like not one, but 2 men were pissing in your mouth?
So, yeah, in that case, I think one of the bigger things is the fact that she was behind his back doing things as well, like she was cheating on him. That might be hard. But my thought was that if she's blasted, right? I mean, you Google her name, you're gonna always see what she's done. And say it's 4 or 5 years down the line, and I meet her in a bar, and I don't know her by face, and then I Google her and see it. I'm saying I could forgive that. Like, that's something that's not going to necessarily stop me. But the husband one, I don't know what I don't necessarily know what his why he's staying. Something I don't know. I can't tell you that mindset, because that would be hard. I mean, not only is she cheating, but she's probably doing things that he would, not the pissing part, but doing things that he wishes he could, you know, and that would be tough. That would, I will admit, yeah, that would be a deal breaker. But for the future guys, I'm thinking I can see how people would say, okay, that was 4 years ago, you know, let's see where this goes. You know, people do things.
Interesting. People do things. Um, this is something I considered. Sincere says we don't know how much he knew before the trial, but if that was the first time he was hearing about it, he could have issues going forward with her. I agree with that because the fact that they excused him from some of the testimony tells me not only did he not know all the information, but didn't want to hear it, or Cassie didn't want him to hear it, which tells me he didn't know everything. Because if he knew everything, he would have just sat there. But he actually left the courtroom, same as Diddy's daughters did. As you know, Diddy's children were supporting him. I thought it was a little silly that he had his daughters there. You know, hearing all the abuse and the semen and the piss and the semen on the nipples and the, you know, all of that. I thought it was really, you know, I understand that you got to show your family supporting you. I thought it was a little ridiculous that his teenage daughters were there. I don't know whose idea that was, but you got to show like the family's down no matter what. But I think Diddy was like, you know, the most famous cuck we know right now. I think it was a swinger relationship. I do not think for 1 second, sorry, whoever gets mad, I don't think for 1 second that Cassie was being sex trafficked. She was a model. A lot of models do drugs. A lot of models have risque lifestyles. I think, you know, even after the quote unquote abuse, you know, Shine, the rapper, said, hey, he used to take on $500,000 shopping sprees. You know, she had condos with, you know, 10 foot, 8 foot, 16 foot ceilings, right? So, you know, there were perks, right, to her being quote unquote Diddy's victim. And I noticed that during the trial, a lot of his victims were staying according to how much money he was giving them. You know, the other 50s baby mama was sitting there, and she admitted that Diddy was still paying $10,000 a month rent for her. Even during the trial, her rent was still one of the bills that Diddy was paying. So it looked to me like everybody was down with the program long as that money kept coming in. So are you really a victim, or are you, you know, some sort of sub in a dom situation? You're just getting paid to be punched in the side of the head. I don't know. Very interesting trial. Very interesting. The real victims are the toothbrushes and whoever had to clean up. Yikes. Well, we know that they covered it up. Like they covered the hotel rooms with lots and lots of plastic and things like that. So, No Saint, you just got back from a Carnival cruise. You just got back from a Carnival cruise. And if you've been under a rock, maybe you haven't heard that Carnival Cruises dropped a whole list of new rules for the Ratchets, right? Now, some people say, no. The Ratchets have no race or face. This list was for everybody. Anybody who's coming on the ship being Ratchet. However, a lot of things on the list, right, are usually stuff that Black people do on the boat, on the ship, right? So a lot of Black people felt attacked, and they was like, we're canceling Carnival Cruises because we can't do our fan dance, and we can't smoke the weed, and we can't fight with our baby daddies, right? So a lot of Black people felt attacked. They was like, hey, this list is about us and it's not fair. So no more Carnival Cruises. But No Saint, you went on a Carnival cruise and you have a theory for why you didn't see any of the ratchetness. Why do you think you didn't see any of the ratchetness? And this is so prevalent and we see it. All you got to do is type in Carnival Cruise fights on YouTube and it's quite entertaining.
So, yeah, first of all, I'd like to tell everybody in the chat that they did play the fan dance, and I videoed and showed Jen, and there were a couple of people that had fans. They smuggled some fans on. It wasn't a lot. And they didn't get hassled. Nobody came and grabbed them or anything. But I thought it was hilarious that some people either didn't get the memo or didn't care. So it was a great cruise. It was awesome. No trouble. There was no trouble. Not that I saw. It was everybody's very well behaved. The food was great. I mean, shout out to Carnival. And the funny thing is, I wasn't paying attention. I had already put in for the cruise, so like over a year ago, and then I would talk to Jen about it. I was talking to Jen about cruise. She said, you couldn't pay me to go on a Carnival. I was like, oh, shoot. I didn't say like I was going on Carnival. And then I was somewhere else. And the lady was like, I've never been on a cruise, but I'll never go on Carnival. I said, golly, did I make a mistake? I went with my friends and they selected the cruise, you know. But my theory is this, and actually it wasn't my theory 100%, but I think they're right. It was the person that was cutting my hair. She goes on a lot of Carnival cruises. And she says the ones out of some of the ones that are like really cheap, like the 3 or 4 day, probably the 3-day cruise, which is probably like $300 or $400. Those you attract people that, let's say, don't necessarily know how to act, right? And that's not one specific person. I mean, just in general, you get a different clientele, and we talked about this, Jen. That is one of the reasons why, when you wonder why something, you know, well, why is this these seats cost $700 to sit on the floor? It's to keep you out. It's to keep the people that don't have $700, or that's not even that much, but you know what I'm saying, $7,000 to go to an NBA game in Los Angeles or something. I mean, that's because they don't want you there. And so when you pay more money, it kind of filters out the elements of people that tend to maybe react that way, and or react and don't know how to act, basically.
So you don't think chat answer this for me as well? I'm gonna ask No Saint. You really don't think there's a racial component to all this?
Well, I mean, if we're looking online, that's who you see. You know, you're seeing the black people fighting on Carnival Cruise. But again, I go back to there are plenty of white people that don't know how to act. You know, every time I walk into some place and they don't have their shirt on or something, I'm like, well, who raised you? You know, you know, what the hell? That's why I hate going to Walmart. Same thing, though. Same thing. Walmart will bring in a certain clientele. You go to another grocery store that's a little bit more expensive, and it's so much less stressful, but it's expensive. You know, you're paying to keep people out. So, but no, I just wanted to say that I think if you go over, very funny, I like that. But yeah, when you go on the longer cruises, people are spending hard-earned money, and yeah, I just think it's a different level of people, different, you know, people that are going there and they're there to have a good time and not fight. But they do serve a lot of alcohol. They do serve a lot of alcohol.
So we blaming on alcohol. Okay, so you're absolutely right. You couldn't pay me to go on a Carnival cruise. I would not do it. But again, I was telling y'all this a year ago. A year ago, I was saying this, okay? Everybody's catching up with the block, all right? Years after, right? That's why I had to come back, all right? But, you know, yeah, you couldn't pay me to go on a Carnival cruise. I am very, very sensitive to ghetto culture, ratchet culture, because I was born and raised in it, okay? And you guys hear me talk about my dad a lot. He kept us away from it. He was very, very clear in the degeneracy of our own community, in the Puerto Rican community, who we were and were not supposed to hang out with, when and where and why, okay? And that's how I grew up. If my dad was on and popping today, you know what I mean, on, you know, in his prime, he would be considered a staunch Republican or conservative. My dad has always had those views. It didn't start because Trump was in office. It didn't start because the Cubans started voting Republican. My dad was always a staunch capitalist and conservative, what people would consider conservative. That's how I was raised. So that's how I view the world. I don't care who doesn't like it. I don't care who gets offended. I don't care who thinks it's, race specific. But I've seen enough of Carnival cruises to where I'm like, I don't want to be anywhere near those people. Nowhere near. Okay? So, piggybacking off that, okay? Black fatigue. Black fatigue. If you guys have been under a rock, black fatigue used to mean one thing, now it means another thing. Okay? If you don't know, black fatigue was black people originally. Was black people talking about, oh, I'm so fatigued of living in this country, and I'm so fatigued of being targeted because I'm black, and I'm so fatigued of white supremacy, and I'm so fatigued of oppression. And then, as a lot of things morph on social media, it morphed into everybody being tired of black people that act like the ones on the Carnival cruises who got rules put on them, okay? And when I say everybody, I mean everybody. Latins, whites, black, Asian, everybody, okay? If you search black fatigue on YouTube, you will see lots of black content creators saying they are sick of ratchet black people, okay? But I was saying that a year ago, and I'm gonna keep reminding y'all that, because y'all gave me a lot of heat for that shit. And I said, separation is key. Long as you act like a monolith, okay? And it's like, no, it's all of us together, right? You're gonna be lumped up together. So now a lot of black people are detaching and distancing themselves from that ratchet behavior. And now black fatigue has morphed into everybody's tired of the ratchetness at Walmart, at the airport, on Spirit Airlines, on Frontier Airlines, on Carnival cruises, at the bank, at the, at the what? Just sick of it. Black fatigue. What do you think about that, chat? Do you think that it's just, are people sick and tired of everywhere the bonnets and lashes go, it's gonna be some bullshit? Everywhere the bonnets and lashes land, whether it's spring break in Miami, a Puerto Rico Airbnb, a Carnival cruise, a damn Walmart, a Spirit flight, a Frontier flight, everywhere the bonnets and lashes land is chaos. Do you think that black fatigue is just, and do you think it's racist? Or maybe it's classism? What do you think, chat? I'm very curious about that. And again, if you want to cam up and you got some heat for the block, come on up. What do you think about black fatigue? Oh, see?
I thought I hit it. This is interesting. Again, yeah, I think people are tired, and I think they're, as again, I go back to this show. I learned so much in a couple of years we did the show about groups not being a monolith, and people don't want to be dragged down or looked upon a certain way because of the way that others are acting. So that's where, like you said, the separation is coming, and it happens, it happens to everybody, right? I laugh because Walmart is a perfect petri dish. If you want, you mention it, and I go there because it's cheaper. And groceries are through the roof. And I was there a few weeks ago, and I showed Jen, and I said, "Look at this." And I had the camera go over my shoulder, and it was a white girl with a bonnet on, and she sounded very ignorant, is the way I'm going to put it. She sounded very ignorant when she talked. And I said, why do you have to have a bonnet and speak that way, right? The other day I went in, and I just think people that are on that level, whether they're white or black or any race, when they're at that level, I think it really bothers me because they're rude. And I don't think they know they're rude. Like, I was standing in line, you know how you have the 4 registers you can check out yourself, and I'm standing there, and this this lady and this other lady with her daughter with a ton of tattoos. Not that tattoos are necessarily bad, but you should have seen them. I mean, it was the ones where you're like, all right, you're never going to get a job. You have to work in a strip club, and she could not work in a strip club, but you'd have to work in some job that doesn't care that you have a ton of tattoos all over. And they walked right past me. Oh, let's go to this register. As if there was one, each one had a line, and I just looked and I just shook my head. I'm like, I would never do that. So why did I say that? Because I try to separate away from, and these people were white. I try to separate from those type of people, so it's understandable. And I think that's where the black fatigue is coming in, is like, I don't want to be associated with certain people. I don't like the attitudes. The robots are taking over. I don't like going to McDonald's or Taco Bell and giving an attitude because I'm ordering a Big Mac. You know what I mean? Yes.
So that's interesting that you again, I think the miscommunication and the reason why this is taking so long is because black people feel like collectively, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, black people in the chat, but I think collectively black people, because they've gone through so much in this country, and it's a very unique experience, right? Because oppression was real, racism was real, Jim Crow was real. I think they all collectively want to know we're in this fight together. And then as time goes on, I don't know why we forgot about the black bourgeoisie, right? Because it wasn't always a collective of black people, no matter where they came from, we're all together, right? The separation was key way back. I don't know how everybody just came together, the bonnet, the lashes, the bonnets, the twerkers, with the black elites and the black excellence. I don't know when this happened, because it wasn't always that way. But soon as it became this, then everybody got lumped up together. And now I think it's going back sort of to the black bourgeoisie. Not that much of a divide, but it's going back to where I'm black, but I'm not that kind of black. And I think it's beautiful to see, because I used to always say black people are the only ones, okay, that didn't detach or ostracize the degenerates in their freaking group, in their community, right? Where it's like Asians don't hang with the ghetto Asians, right? White people, you guys don't go down to the trailer park and hang with the meth heads. That divide is clear. Same thing with Latins. The way I was raised, my dad was like, you ain't hanging with that, and you ain't hanging with her. So there was a good divide. But black people was like, no, we're all oppressed, we're all black, we all got to stick together. Fast forward, now there's black fatigue, right? And black people are like, we don't want anything to do with those blacks over there. And I think it's a great thing. I think we'll start to see a change, because now those type of black people will see that it's not okay that you go to a fancy restaurant and jump on a table and twerk in front of the waiter's face. It's not okay that you fight with the cops. It's not okay that you wear, a bonnet to pick your kid up at school. And I think it was long overdue, right? Long overdue. The passes, I think, should be over and done with. But no, Saint, you're saying it's not a race thing, it's just a ratchet thing.
Yeah, because if it were a race thing, this is the way I look at it. If it were truly a race thing, then everybody would be doing it. If it was just strictly based on your race, then everybody in the race would be doing it. And that's not what happens. It happens in certain communities. It happens in, and sometimes it's worn as a badge. And that's where you come into the culture, right? Some cultures wear it as a badge, like to be ratchet or whatever, and that's where I think the real problem is. But you have to have what you're talking about. You have to have a group of people that want to separate from that attitude to get out of it, to raise kids to be different. So yeah, I don't think it's a race thing. I just don't.
So again, No Saint is running for office. He's running for office, apparently. Very, very politically correct. Thank you, Black Lexicon. So I want to piggyback off something you said, No Saints. It does seem like if you're not a certain type of black, right, then you get ostracized. So let's talk about the other side for a minute. Let's talk about Drake versus UMG versus Kendrick Lamar. I don't know if you've heard, but the case is moving forward. As you guys know, Drake is suing UMG, the parent label of the label he's on, for helping to promote Not Like Us. As you know, Kendrick Lamar had a West Coast anthem that blew the hell up. He even did it at the Super Bowl. And in that anthem, he blatantly calls Drake a pedophile. Okay, blatantly. Had a whole stadium chanting it, had the whole West Coast chanting it and beyond. So Drake was like, whoa, hey, you can't call me that because it can affect my money, my sponsors, my endorsements, my brand. So I am going to sue UMG for helping that happen. Now, a lot of people on social media are saying that that makes Drake soft. He needs to drop another diss track. And I'm trying to explain to the people that when you're on that level of money and brand, you move different. You don't roll up your sleeves and get in a fisticuffs on the corner. And a lot of people don't understand that. So they're calling Drake all kinds of soft because he's not continuing the fight and he's suing, right? And I'm trying to explain. When you're at that level, you don't roll up your sleeves. You sue. We saw that happen with Cardi B and Tasha K. You sue when you're on that level. It's quite normal. But I think because it's hip hop, right? And people think that Drake is too square to talk about what he talks about, despite Drake saying to be, to be far from hood, but understand the streets. Drake has always said he wasn't from the streets. I don't know why people acting like Drake was a gangster. It's in his own words, to be far from hood, but understand the streets, right? And I think people are mad that he's been so successful in hip hop, and they treat him like he has stolen valor. Right? They treat him like he has stolen valor. Like, how dare you succeed in hip hop when everybody who succeeded in hip hop is supposed to get out the mud? They were supposed to be struggling and dying, and you weren't, Drake. But a lot of people are mad at the lawsuit calling Drake soft because he should have dropped another verse and kept the fight going versus the lawsuit. I saw the lawsuit coming. I'm glad he sued because being accused of being a pedophile is the most vile thing you can accuse somebody of. And if you don't have evidence or witnesses or victims for you to make that an anthem and do it at the Super Bowl, I thought it was repulsive. And I'm glad that he's suing and he's going the quote unquote white way, because when people sue, people automatically think it's the Jewish way or the white way. What do you think about the lawsuit? As I check out the chat, because I know they're going in.
Yeah, the chat's funny. They got good points, though. A lot of good points in the chat. Smartest chat on YouTube. Yeah, I had to laugh. I was thinking, they call it, people say selling Drake, he's not from the street, right? And I know you said he never said it, but I think Vanilla Ice said, you think he's from the street? That dude? Anyway, no, I think a lawsuit hurts way more in the verse than a song. I mean, it really does. And I'm sure there are a lot of beef raps out there that didn't end up badly, but there are a lot that don't end up nice. Somebody goes to jail, somebody gets killed over continuing to promote that beef, or even some shrapnel, fans going after other fans. I'm saying this happened, but I'm sure it's plausible that someone's walking around with a Drake shirt and gets jumped or something, right? Because the other guy's a fan of Kendrick Lamar. My son likes Kendrick Lamar. I remember, Jen, you know that. He was pulling for Kendrick Lamar. He was a Kendrick Lamar person. Yeah, I think a lawsuit's a beautiful thing. It hurts way more than a verse that, lasts maybe a year and then nobody remembers it. So yeah, I like what he's doing.
Modern Renaissance man, how are you, sir? Thank you for the good wishes, well wishes. I absolutely did get a lot done. I am launching my business early 2026, so you guys are going to see that coming up. Modern Renaissance man, if you are in front of a cam, I'd love to hear your point of view on this Drake Kendrick beef. Well, really Drake versus UMC, what you think about that, and why Black people specifically are coming down on Drake so badly. I want to grab this right here because it does say a lot about the community in itself. Adam Hearn says, how did Drake get kicked out of a FBA nation, but R. Kelly is beloved? And you still see these debates with R. Kelly, the best R&B, the king of R&B. They still praise R. Kelly very, very much. And you know, he's a convicted pedophile in the community. But for some reason, it seems like being a pedophile is more accepted in the community than not being black enough. Whoa. Whoa. Okay? Drake, as you know, is half black, but he definitely isn't black enough or got street cred enough. Like, say, R. Kelly, even though R. Kelly is a convicted pedophile. That says a lot. I'm always shocked when I'm scrolling and I see these guys still praising R. Kelly. And I'm like, I wonder if, because they're like, well, you can separate the music from the man, or you can't separate the man from music. But I'm like, I wonder if one of your little sisters or your mama or your auntie or your niece was a victim of R. Kelly. Could you still be having these debates of him being the king of R&B? It's quite curious. It's almost like in the community, you can get away with a lot of stuff except for being gay and not being black enough. Anything else will pass. You could be a convicted murderer, a convicted rapist, but you can't be half black, okay, and you can't be gay. Eek. Yikes. Irby says, I disagree, Jen. Then why you get in hip-hop beef then? I think that the hip-hop beef was great. It was exciting all the way. Even when J. Cole bounced, I thought it was great. However, you can go too far when you are damaging a brand. I think going back and forth, slinging mud was excellent. But when you call someone the most heinous thing that a man could be, which is a pedophile, I think that's right there is where it ends. Because now you're talking about loss of money and loss of millions. I think it goes beyond a hip-hop beef. And we've seen hip-hop beefs that have gone beyond, right? We lost a couple good ones because hip-hop beefs went too far. So let's not act like hip-hop beef can't go too far. All right? That says Drake is Jewish, so suing is kosher. The token pen says money, brands, and commercialism don't matter when it comes to cultural currency, i.e. battle rap community, i.e. Joseph Kahn's commentary on freedom of speech and culture in the movie Bodied. Randy says, Jen, do you think an on the block meet and greet cruise be disastrous? I would love to do a cruise and have you all come on, talk shit with y'all. Okay, Irby says he called Kendrick a woman beater and claimed his child wasn't his. Well, has he put hands on a woman, Irby? Has any woman ever said that he put hands on her?
And if that is true, which I assume it is, he has every right to sue as well. It's not taking his right away to go after him in that way as well. So, and woman beater is an awful thing. So I'm not going to say, but the child not his. I mean, if he takes a DNA test, he'll know the truth on that. That's not going to be anything that really damages you long term. Woman beater is bad, so I think he might have a case there. He has a case if he wants it. But to keep prolonging this, and that's another thing what you were saying, Jen, this has been around as old as hip hop has been around, where someone's either not street enough, not black enough. That argument has been around since we were in high school or before, it's kind of old, to be honest with you. It's kind of tiresome. Like, it reminds me of, like, for instance, Green Day. They were from Oakland, I think, or the Bay Area, and they had an underground following. And then they got mad because Green Day decided to go commercial and make a lot of money. And they were like, "Oh, you're not real anymore. You sold out." Well, hell yeah, you sold out. That's the whole purpose, is to go and sell out.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point because, depending on what the beef is and who they're beefing with, right? First, we have the one drop rule, which is like, if a black person even touched your mama, you're fully black, right? But then we saw beefs like Nicki Minaj against Lotto, and as soon as she beefed with her, Lotto was that white girl, right? Drake was black until he's arguing or beefing with someone who's fully black, and then he's that white boy or that Jewish boy. So, the black police is still out. The black police is still out, and they still giving out tickets like, you're black today, you're not black, you're black enough, you're not black enough. And it's funny because if Drake isn't black, then neither is Halle Berry, neither is J. Cole, neither is Alicia Keys.
Bob Marley.
Bob Marley. They all got them some good old white parents. Okay, all of the above have some good old white parents with the H. White. Has anyone ever seen Halle Berry's mama? Has anyone ever seen Alicia Keys' mama? Has anybody ever seen J. Cole's mama? So it's like, the community picks and chooses who's black on what day according to who they're beefing with and why. And I found the Kendrick Lamar Drake thing and how it's weaponized that you're half black when you look at who Kendrick Lamar procreated with, and people be like, well, he was with that girl since high school. It doesn't matter. He didn't pick a black queen, right? So if we're talking not like us, well, his own baby mama's not like us, right? Regarding them. So there's a lot of hypocrisy, and I think people pick and choose when people are black or not black or black enough. And I think it's funny. That's why I don't take any of it seriously, because it really does go along with, it's like a leaf in the wind. You're black today, you're not black enough. You're not black enough. And a lot of people that are beloved in the community have white mamas, very white mamas, very white mamas. Speaking of the Halle Berry, yes, that includes Obama. Speaking of Halle Berry, Dave Justice, the baseball player who was married to her, recently went viral. He was on a podcast. That's where all the dirt comes out. He was on a podcast, and he said that Halle wasn't very motherly, and he had second thoughts about having children with her because she didn't cook, she didn't clean, and he just didn't think she would make a good mother. Now, the resounding consensus is that it's Halle Berry, and she should get a pass from being domestic because it's Halle Berry. Do you think that attractive women should get a pass, or women on that level, should they get a pass from being domestic? Should a man know going into marrying a Halle Berry, a Jen Garcia, that we don't have to be domestic? That someone should be at our beck and call? Or do you think Dave Justice was, just to be like, I'm out. I need somebody that's more nurturing and more caring? And if we think back, Eric Benet, who was also married to Halle Berry, said something very similar when it came to Halle Berry mothering his daughter, right? He said something very similar to her being the stepmother to his daughter. So maybe Halle is just not the nurturing, mothering type. But do you think she should get a pass? Would you give Halle Berry a pass so you could smash for a couple years? What do you think, chat? What do you think, No Saying?
I absolutely would give her a pass. Come on, Halle. Come on. You can come to my house. You get a pass. I thought that was so bizarre. Here you got a baseball player who's had $100 million contracts, and you have Halle Berry, who's made probably, I don't know, 70 million at least. And he's worried about that. I mean, let me tell you, I don't know a person in the world, man or female, male or female, who, if they had enough money, would not lease that part of their life out, would not pay somebody to do that, because that is not only a a hard job. It's not a fun job if you do it right. It takes time. It's time consuming. And the whole reason most of us are working is for some kind of freedom. And what's the freedom if you have to, sit home and take part of your day to clean up after everybody, make everybody's food? I mean, that's yeah. So I thought it was really bizarre, really odd. And I think you do get a pass. If you're on that level, you do get a pass because you can afford to have a pass. You can buy your pass.
Okay, so then what would her purpose be in a relationship? Eye candy? Vagina?
You're asking.
I'm asking,
Okay.
I'm asking the chat. I'm asking you. If she's, because men and women, we both have different roles, right? Even when we're wealthy, right? I mean, you get with a woman for a certain type of energy. Women get with men for a certain type of energy. What would you expect Hallie to bring? Her vagina and her face? Like, what would the point be to get with her? In long-term relationship, not to smash. Because who wouldn't want to smash her, right? But why would you marry her? What's up, Caligula?
Sure. I'm on. Oh my God, I'm wearing glasses. Hey, give me an intro.
Your mic.
I can't give me an intro.
We can see you.
Okay, we'll stop doing shit like that.
Echo.
All right, so I'm gonna go slow. How are you? Did I lose you?
When she turns on, it's gonna echo when you talk. So she mutes when you're on.
Oh, I don't want her to mute. Don't worry about the echo then. I just wanted to say hi. You guys are talking about some weird subjects and it's fun, but I only wanted to do an intro and then I was gonna get out of here. I hate wearing glasses.
Hey, let me tell you something. You don't know how many times your name came up, and I've sung that song to Jen many times. Your song that you showed up. I'm on the block, Jen. I'm on the block.
That was, you know what? And I blew that keyboard out. I didn't pay a lot for it. I actually bought it off of a gift card, Target gift card. And I blew the thing out, but I have a guitar and I went and bought a metronome. And I've been screwing around at home because I was recovering from a surgery that's now about a year and 4 months. And so, yeah, it's just been a homebound life. I haven't been doing much. But yeah, I just wanted to say hi. I was gonna can you still hear me? Yeah, I hope so. I can't see you guys. Anyways, see, I told you I got dad issues because it's fucking rolling over tomorrow. But keep it rolling, man, because you never know what I might do. I might do something really weird and it'll make you famous. But I wrote another intro for you, but I have to put the metronome on. Can you hear that?
Yes.
All right. So there you go. Hey Jen, how you been? Nice to see you again. Hey Jen. Hey Jen. Hey Jen, how you been? Nice to see you again. Hey Jen. Hey Jen. And I get up here. See, I'm not even ready for this. Hey Jen. Hey Jen. See, I can't get out of it because I just wrote it like that. But go ahead and cut that up. That's my next number I was writing for you.
That was awesome.
I'm a guy that's written 2 songs for you, so I should be at the top list. We've met a couple times. We shouldn't probably go too far into that. All the other subjects kind of would be better if I just kind of agreed that there are a lot of messed up things going on. I'm probably not the right person to actually say what would be a solution. I say everybody forget about the borders and just get a passport, start traveling around, get rid of the idea that I got to turn my metronome off. Get rid of the idea that you're gonna have borders, because sooner or later, like what you say, this guy down there, I don't follow shit like that. I got too angry. I got really upset for a period in my life. I became racist, man. I really did, and it was funny because all I watched was like MSNBC and CNN. But you kind of lose liberalism unwinds. It becomes like this ball, and you become like indebted to certain things, and you're always afraid you're gonna offend somebody, and that's what ends up happening is that it unravels. Liberalism eventually unravels, and you got to take a stand for something. But I think the last, like with borders, sure, rich people are going to come in and take over nice tropical sites, but there's still got to be some kind of government and enforcement. And that's when you're going to run into issues of, clans coming in. Like, if you're serious about talking about this, when you get enough wealth that comes in, pretty soon there is a tide that changes, and the locals and the government, whatever it has in resources, does start doing things that make it appealing and uncomfortable, and then you do start facing issues where there might have to be intervention.
So did you said that watching what MSNBC made you racist?
Oh hell yeah, God, that's yeah, MSNBC, man. I will say, liberalism. See, they're okay to do it. They can be on everybody's side. See, and eventually you start seeing what would you say it is? There's an irony, but there's another word that I'm looking for. But it's just I think that liberalism eventually.
He froze. Okay, guys.
MSNBC got to him.
Yeah, they got him. W.W. Gaddy said, and those are questions you ask before you get married. I'm sure he's talking about Halle Berry and Dave Justice. Maybe he was, she was a beautiful, beautiful woman back then, still is, but, she was in her prime when she married Dave Justice. So he probably overlooked that. And then once you got it home, it's like, oh, you don't even rub it back because you Halle Berry. You don't even sob a knob because you Halle Berry. And he was probably like, okay, it's growing old, right? And then they divorced. Someone said Halle Berry is with the white boy, so I can't support it either way. She is not with the white boys any longer. She was with a French guy and then the white boy, but now she's with Van Hunt, who is an R&B singer, and he is black. So she is back to black, so everybody calm down. Okay, she is back to black. She's with Van Hunt, and I guess Van Hunt doesn't care about having his noodles cooked. He's just happy to be there smashing Miss Berry. Irby says these celebrity relationships I never took seriously. There's always some ego and narcissist behind the two. Yeah. Sincere says she wasn't some hot chick waiting at home like a trophy to be the housewife. She was working. That's also very true. So I think Dave Justice, I just think I didn't think he should be attacked. They attacked him on social media. I think he has every right to tell his side of the story. For some reason, when men tell their side of the story, they get attacked, and women can tell their side of the story all day and all night. The moment a man opens his mouth to say he was miserable in a marriage, all hell breaks loose. But men have a right to say, I was married to such and such and it was shit. Okay? You're in a safe space, men. If you want to talk about how horrible a woman was to you. I think, you know what I mean? All is fair in love and war. So... Oh, I see my nephew back. Okay. Hey, baby, you came to visit.
Yeah. No, I had to drop in. I was never able to do this before.
Oh, well, now you here.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say welcome back.
Thank you.
Was definitely a fan before. I'm still fanning.
Yay!
Shouts to
I
Saint.
love you.
DT. Check it. Yeah, for the viewers, I'm not calling her Jen. This is my aunt. So she's gonna get the Kikiniaka treatment. So DT, I'll check your text message, but I just wanted to drop in and give y'all praise.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Are you going to the barbecue tomorrow? The Puerto Rican Flags Up barbecue?
No, because I have a performance at another festival.
Hey, duty calls, work on, and where are you performing and what are you doing? Let the people know.
Jersey City, Puerto Rican Festival. I will be performing 2 new songs, Latin hip hop.
Nice. Is there anything you want to share with us? A mean 8 or something? Anything you want to tell us about the performance tomorrow? What people should know? Anything you want?
Whoever's in the New York, New Jersey area, be there 3 p.m. Jersey City, Christopher Columbus Drive. Yeah, right by the Grove Street Path train station. So it's gonna be epic.
Okay, if you guys want to go see mi familia, my family, go out there, okay, and do that. What's up, E Black? I see you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, we are still here. Okay, baby, you got anything else you want us to know?
No, that's it. Keep doing your thing. I love you and rock out.
Okay, mwah. Love you. Thank you. E Black, you coming up or not? Don Levon says, sound like Alex Jones. Who? Who sounds like Alex Jones? Sincere says they were young and fell in love and got married without discussing the long term of what they truly wanted. He had expectations, but didn't explain that from the start. And that usually happens with young people get married. They think it's a fairy tale, and then you get in and realize, oh, this is work. I just wanted to smash somebody that was really pretty. I didn't know this was work, and she wasn't going to rub my feet.
As we find in a lot of things that you want, it becomes there's a lot more involved than anything you try.
You want to share something with us, Nosy? Okay, so Tova says, when wealthy men make money, they make money to build an empire. When famous women make money, it's because they look good and they bored waiting for their wealthy husbands to snatch them up. So essentially, what are you saying? They become the men that they normally would have gotten when they say, fuck it, I'm gonna make my own money. I don't want to deal with this, which probably makes them not a good wife or life partner. Perhaps. How are you? Token Pen, am I saying that correctly?
Absolutely. Can you guys hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from the UK. It's very, very late here. Bear with me if you can't hear me well. Sorry, there's an echo. Bear with me if I pause. Apologies. Okay. Okay.
No, you're good. You're good now. She had, when she was on with her mic, you had people echo, so I was letting her to mute.
Of course, I appreciate that, brother. Very, very great discussions. Very, very great discussions. I have a lot of points in regards to the Drake situation, in regards to the Halle Berry situation. But I threw a quick question because I thought you guys might be the best to probably give me perspective on this. As you're American, what do you guys necessarily think of that resurgence of almost American Pan-Africanism? There's like a resurgence of Americans moving back to Africa, reinvesting in Africa. There's like a whole thing of like, oh yeah, everybody's going to New Year's Eve in Ghana. Everybody's going back to Cape Town. And it's like a whole thing of people going back home. But there was a little bit of a stereotype, and that's not only in America, but also in the UK. Okay, for an example, I've been called Tunde or Baba Tunde. I've heard Lion King sounds made to me a billion times as I'm from Africa and moved to the West. But there was like a little joke situation coming to America, whatever. But there's a whole new situation where people are moving back. What do you guys necessarily think about that? And I'll just mute myself just to hear you guys' response. Thank you.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I watch a lot of, I've watched people talk about this on other channels, and I think listen, everybody's got in this country, because of our passports, and I'm sure the UK, we have a lot of opportunities to move places. It just so happens that there is, like you said, there's a Pan-African movement to move back there. I think it's great. The one thing I will say is people go over there sometimes and find out it's not exactly what they think it is. Of course, every American or every person probably from the UK, when you go to another country, they are going to treat you really nice because you have the money to spend in their stores. You have the money. You have the money. If you didn't have the money, they probably wouldn't be that nice. I always say this: it's welcoming. You're welcome until you're not. So if people go over there and start driving prices up, they're not going to be welcome because it's going to be putting hardship on the locals, right? So, I mean, I think it's interesting. I think it's fascinating. I think if you can make it work, I mean, more power to you. I want to know, since you're from Africa, how do you feel about it?
I mean, personally, I'd rather African Americans and Americans move back to Africa and reinvest in it rather than the Chinese giving us free infrastructural development that comes with like a catch in regards to, okay, you're building the Trans-African Highway from Mombasa, Kenya, all the way down to Senegal. You're building railroads, you're making the infrastructure better for movements of diamonds and things like that. But that comes with a catch. African Americans, I'm just questioning the legitimacy. Is it like a novelty, like on some 1980s Black Medallion, fight the power, you know what I'm saying, Zulu Nation type thing? Or is it like a genuine thing of like, you know what, we really want to reconnect with our brothers? Because personally, from my perspective, I might be wrong. A lot of people might say I'm wrong on this, but I believe that, wow, I'm going to say this online. I believe that slavery and the transatlantic slave trade was contributed to by Africans as well. The natives, I'm talking about the tribes, right? I'm talking about the Nilots, the Kushites, who attacked the neighboring tribes, imprisoned them, and sold them. So there's this kind of hate among Hotaps, or like, oh yeah, you know what? They sold us to slavery. So is it genuine? You guys are coming back to invest? Or is it like, you know what? It's just a novelty. We're gonna go back to Africa because of Burna Boy, and then we're gonna go back to like the values and stuff. I don't know, bro. I'm just
I think it's a combination of both. There is a novelty because of social media, and now we're all connected. People can see Africa more easily. People are doing a lot more traveling beyond Miami and Dominican Republic. I do think that people do want to connect back to their roots, and I think we discussed black fatigue earlier. A lot of black people and people of color in general are kind of sick of America, are kind of sick of the politics, are kind of sick of the oppression, for whoever thinks oppression is still a thing. And I do think they want to reconnect. I know when I went to Puerto Rico, it was very, very healing. I'm keep it 100. It was very, very healing for me to see seas and seas of melanin and people of color. As you know, Latins go from all the way, you know, from no saint's complexion all the way to your complexion. And it was just a beautiful thing to be on an island where everybody spoke Spanish, and you didn't see a lot of white people. It is healing. So I think it's part of novelty. People wanted to get those stamps on their passport. People just want to say on social media, I've been to Africa. But I do think people are reconnecting. We remember in the 90s, there was a huge connection via hip hop, okay, with Public Enemy and X Clan. There was a lot more of a connection back then than there is now. And I think we're just going back full circle. And I love to see it. I just hope the same people that are on Carnival cruises aren't going back in Africa. I hope it's not that crowd. What are you gonna say?
no boats anymore.
Yeah, this is the one thing I've always thought is interesting. So, no, you're absolutely, Jen. You're coming from a great perspective. One that obviously I can't have that. I don't live that life, so I don't have that perspective. But it's also like, okay, you know, if you're saying, and it's obviously this is a stretch, it's not everybody's going to move to Ghana, but if it was like everybody at once moving to Ghana, I don't think they would be welcomed as much. You know what I mean? Because there is a limit to how many people can move someplace. Another thing I would say is this. You can tell, you can correct me after this. Another thing I would say is this. Culturally, it was like if I said to you that I'm going back to the country where my majority of my ancestors came from, and I would tell you I'm French. Well, I'm not French. have nothing. I'm nothing like the French anymore. It's a separate culture. I'm in a separate, and I think African Americans have a great separate. Have brought a lot to the table and have a separate culture. I don't think their blood is from there. They're cousins. Like my cousins are in France, but I am not French. It's impossible. I go over there. I do not look French. They look at me. They say I'm an American. It's kind of cultural differences. So I think some people have an idea of we're going back to the motherland, and that's and then you'll find out, well, it's a lot different. And then you have to live with the shitty internet. Not that everybody in Africa has shitty internet, but you know what I'm saying.
No, we do. It's terrible. Shit's terrible, bro. But just a quick counterpoint to that. Sorry, Jen. Let me just show this counterpoint out. In that regard, do you think, just as a question, in regards to white people as well in America, as Americans, I'm not sure if you guys see from the historical perspective as you guys are really not the natives of that land. You originate from completely different areas of the world. And there is almost like a brainwashed perspective as America is this like superpower. America is this like one place, like the American dream or whatever. But most of America, 10% Black people who come from different places, South America, they come from Africa, they come from completely different areas of the world, from the Samoan areas. I don't know. Do you guys see it as this is where I'm from, this is where I'm at, this is my home? Or is there like a situation where everybody is like, or most people are like, you know what? I need to check my roots. I need to check where I'm from. I'm not really from here. My grandma's not really from here. I heard that there was a place in like Georgia. Sorry if I'm taking too much time. I'll finish after this one. I'll jump off. I know that there's a place in Georgia that they speak pure Nigerian, right? They speak pure like Bantu languages. They speak pure Nilotic languages, the Kushite languages. And these are people who've been there like pre-slavery. So I'm not sure if my information is correct, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the case?
Okay, man, it's got many layers to that. So, I mean, we can go back to what I believe is we all came out of Africa, and at one time people in Europe had dark skin, and over time that has changed. Listen, it's temporary. We're here right now. In 400 years, another people might come and push us out of here, and then they'll claim the land and say that's my home, right? It's all migration. Populations migrate all the time, and so to say, at one time, there was Bering Straits, and people came from Asia and then came down into the America and found a new land, right? So yeah, natively, I feel yes, I'm an American because that's where I was born. I can't. It would be impossible to deport every person that's here that wasn't originally from here to somewhere else. It would be a population destabilization around the world, but I understand. I take your point. I know the history of this country. I know the sins of this country, and but we are here. We're here now, and that's kind of like until we're not, until somebody else comes. It's only yours as long as you can hold it. When you can't hold it anymore, somebody's going to push you out.
So I want to also say to that, I think I can't speak for white people, but I want to say I think descendants of indigenous people, right? I think we always have that craving to our motherlands, be it Africa, the Caribbean, Puerto Rico. We do have that craving, but it's because our cultures are so rich in music, in rhythms, in foods. So we crave that, right? We crave hanging out with our grandmothers and our great grandmothers. And I think that will always be the case for indigenous people. I don't know if white people want to go back to their caves and find out where their people are. I don't know. I don't know if they want to go back to Caucasoid Mountains.
The cave was the smartest thing to go. It's air conditioned, already built in. That was a smart move.
I did want to address this here because there's always one. By the way, thank you for the question, Token. That was an excellent question. The block is still smart, baby. Okay. But I did want to grab this. You can say it's up to you.
No, I'm gonna jump off. Let somebody else come up. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much for this one. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. That was great. I love the smart questions. And this is probably the opposite of a smart question, but I like these two. Okay. So James, I don't know what James this is. I told him he's more than welcome to come up. Everybody's welcome to come up. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with No Saint. But I thought this was interesting. And I actually feel sorry for people that feel this way because I don't think they understand humanity so much, right? So James says, how Puerto Ricans stealing black music when Puerto Ricans treat black people in Puerto Rico like crap, right? So y'all gotta help me out. Either black people are kings and queens and the top of the food chain and the beginning of life as we know it and the best motherfuckers on the planet, or y'all just some people that invent shit and everybody steals from. I promise you I'm confused. Because from inventions to music to swag to style, we hear redundantly that everybody's stealing from you. For some reason, you are great innovators, shit cultivators. Am I wrong here? You invented hip hop and jazz and breakdown and blah blah and braiding and hair and blah blah, and then everybody came in. Puerto Ricans, white people, Asians, Indians, Native Americans, everybody stole y'all shit, and you couldn't hold on to a fucking thing. Who wrote The Matrix? A black woman. Is there anything that y'all invented that wasn't quote unquote stolen? Because you can't be kings and queens on top of the food chain, but then also be people that invent things and everybody steals from you. I'm confused. I'm confused. So with that said, I want to address this. How Puerto Ricans stealing black music when Puerto Ricans treat black people in Puerto Rico like crap. Let's make it clear. Not only in Puerto Rico, but anyone that is any sort of descendant of the diaspora or slavery treat darker skinned folk like crap. Women in India are bleaching. Women in Asia are bleaching. Little Kim used to be black. Beyonce used to present as black. So let's be clear. White adjacency wins, specifically in this country as other countries. White adjacency wins. It is not exclusive to Puerto Rico, San Juan versus Vieques. Okay? This is across the board wherever you find people of color in the world. The darker skinned folk are ostracized. Can we just all admit that, right? And as far as Puerto Ricans stealing black music, I don't know how we can steal anything from y'all because y'all allegedly the baddest motherfuckers on the planet. So how you letting other people steal your shit? Buckle up, tie up them boots, puff your chest out. Stop letting people steal stuff from you. Because that's all I hear. Y'all keep getting stolen. Everything y'all invent. And then when we go back to race, like I said before, are Asians better than all of us in math? Are white people better at violence and colonizing? Are black people great inventors but not great cultivators? Does every ethnicity and race have their thing? And is it high time we admit it? Is it time we admit it? But my whole life I've heard that black people don't get nothing but stolen from. How is that continuing to happen? And this isn't even a denial that Puerto Ricans steal from black people. Because I'm not even saying that. I'm saying, why does it keep happening? Kings and queens, let me know. Okay. And great, James is here. I would love to hear his rebuttal. Big Elvis, the Chef Rosenberg, how are you, sir? Good to see you in the chat. Salute to you. Okay, let's bring up James. See what say you. Mute your mic, No Saint. This is going to be good. Welcome, sir.
Hey, how's it going? How you going? How you doing, Jen? How you doing, No Saint? Yeah, that was just a troll comment. I was just gonna be real. So look, it's the thing. I don't know. I've been watching this one brother named Ricardo Ignacio or something like that, and he says a lot of stuff that when it comes to the rift, because like when I'm growing up, I grew up around a lot of Puerto Ricans. I come out of a woman whose last name is Hernandez. I don't identify as Hispanic. We identify as black. My grandfather, he from Venezuela. They look black. So my whole thing is this. When it comes to the rift between our communities, I think what it is that both of our communities exhibit a lot of self-hate in a sense. So we don't like necessarily what we are. But then but when it comes to people in the Latin culture, what certain people say sometimes, and this is interesting. When it comes to Latin, it's such a broad term because you said there's people that look like no saint, who I would consider what the original Latins look like, because the Latins come from Europe. Because no indigenous people were doing anything Latin over here. All this stuff come from Europe. So that will basically be his people. So when you come to somebody who is like a Mexican or somebody who's like a Puerto Rican, a lot of the DNA is Native American, but you don't identify as these Native American people. You try to be more closer to the Spanish or closer to, like no saints, like, the whiteness. No offense, no saint. I ain't trying to use you as anything. But my thing is like when it comes to this, it just feels like some people feel like it's inauthentic. Again, hip hop has a lot of different origins. It ain't just in the black thing, because you could talk about the white influences and the influences from other people that get into hip hop. You can do that all day. But yeah, that was just a troll comment. I just wanted to just talk about like that riff. I also want to talk about the Umar Johnson thing, but I don't really.
I love the comment, even though it was a troll comment. It was a great comment. So, what do you mean by do you feel that Latin? Let's just use the word Latin for lack of a better separating everybody.
Right. We understand what we're talking about.
Right. So, do you think that Latins, when you say it's kind of like disingenuous, you think that Latin lean towards white adjacency?
Yes, but also what I loved about what dude was saying, this Ricardo, he was talking about, since it's such a broad brush, it ignores a lot of the issues within that community, because what they could say is like, oh well, we all Latin, we all Hispanic, so like there's no colorism, there's no this, there's no that. So it erases a lot of things within this community, because what I think is like what a lot of black people in America, what we don't understand and what we need to understand is how certain people interact with us, because we don't know other people's history. We assume other people's history. So when we say like, oh, we've been lynched and all this other stuff in America and everything, like so was Mexicans. There's this picture. So was the Chinese. Not as much as us, but they were as well. So you have, and also like we also need to understand that there's black people in every single one of these Spanish speaking countries. And that's also what I was talking about before, when it was like, I mean, in Puerto Rico, yeah, they treat the black people like crap. In Argentina, they treat the black people like crap. In Chile, in Brazil, they treat every black person in every single Spanish-speaking country, every Portuguese-speaking country like crap. And it is what it is. And I don't think that we know enough about that to understand the people that we dealing with. Even it's the same thing like when it comes to like the African that we seeing, we not seeing the poor African. We seeing like the middle class, egotistical people. And that's the people who we really having beef with. They're rich in their own country. They're not poor. And we was with the poor people is cool with us. So it's like different perspectives. And I think that's where the fight comes in, because we're not trying to understand each other. But then again, who has time for that? So it's just going to create a lot of, I don't know.
Yeah, so I agree with you, and I remember No Saint said this a while back, there always has to be, thank you, Brandon Myers, I appreciate that, cash out to me, if you want to support On the Block with Jen, I can't do super chats for a little while, so cash at me On the Block with Jen, buy me a smoothie, it's scrolling at the bottom. So, back to what you said, something No Saint said that resonated with me, there's always opposites of everything within those communities. Like I follow these Italian pages on Instagram, and you have the Italians that so what are you talking about, Tony? What are you talking about, right? You have those guys against the Italians from Italy, and the Italians from Italy don't like the guys That's all. What are you talking about, Tony? I said, get the fucking spaghetti in here.
Right,
I didn't even know. I didn't know that there was infighting in that community. But it's the same thing in the Latin community. It's the same thing in the Black community. There's always going to be opposites to every single little thing. And I'm with you. Who has the time?
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. We don't have the time. It's like we can't. We don't want to figure out the nuances, but then again, like you said, like we said, like we don't got the time. You got to worry about bills, got to worry about work, got to worry about the kids, got to worry about all this other stuff. People trying to make their money, people losing money, people trying to figure out what they're going to do for the next couple years. It's like nobody got time for all this, but it creates such tension, and even sometimes it take away a lot of time. But we just don't take the time to understand one another, and I think that just talking it out, understanding different perspectives, and understanding the history, then things start to come together and the pieces start fitting together. I don't know.
Okay, so I did want to talk about, we can end on this. I did want to talk about Dr. Umar Johnson. I just think in general, the time, there's eras for everything, right? We see the podcast bros, that's kind of like being what the passport bros, that's kind of also being like washed away. Is it just time for the quote unquote Black social media activists and leaders? Is it just time that they're all being exposed and being washed away? And is Dr. Umar just evidence of that? What do you think about what's happening with Umar? He's getting a really, really good dragging. We saw where he lives, right? Because the camera flipped. If you don't know, if you've been under a rock, Dr. Umar, his camera flipped twice on 2 different occasions, and he's living like in squalors and dirt and garbage and things like that, and he doesn't have money. He's literally online asking people to send him money because he doesn't have money to eat or whatever. Seems to be unraveling. What do you think? Is it just time for all these social media activists? Is it just time to to turn the page and nobody gives a damn?
There's been hints. There's been hints with Umar getting hold on. Can you hear me? Oh yeah, there's been hints with Umar. Umar, when it came to the conscious stripper, and he swore off he was going to be celibate. When it came to the other incident that he had, like there's just so much with Umar. Like the thing is that you should have a concept, that you should have something being like, you should have a proof of concept and then try to pitch it to people in a sense, but like you should already have something there before you even ask for money. So Umar should have came up with the money himself before he even started asking for donations. I think he should have already had the school. But this is just unfortunate. And the shame thing is that he's doing the whole thing in the name of Pan-Africanism and the whole FBA crap and all this other stuff and the ADOS crap. It's just going to make the whole movement look bad. And now they got a face to it. Since he's the Prince of Pan-Africanism, he got a face to it now, and they can just rail him. And, it's deserved because it hasn't produced anything that was, that is viable in this point in time. So now what Umar is doing just erased all the good stuff that it would have done in the past. And now we just got to start from scratch again. So, I mean, like the whole situation. I don't think Umar really had the school. I think he was completely negligent. He thought he could do it all by himself. People could start schools with less than what he was asking for. It's a sad situation, but now it's all getting exposed and people clowning him for it, and it's deserved. I can't say nothing else than that. He should have been way more careful.
Do you think we're at a time now where it's like Black people are just not in need of leaders like they used to be?
I don't think that we did well with leaders in the first place. Because one, if you're a leader, then you're a target. I think this should have just been more of something like I don't even know what kind of word. I don't want to use cabal because that has very negative connotations. I feel like certain actors who are not known, because that's the other thing too. It's that ego. It's that stuff that comes out of like the hip hop culture, or maybe it's just Gen X, where it's like I gotta be in front of the camera. I gotta tell you how big my dick is. I gotta. It's like this crazy ego, and like you create these characters online that can be easily ridiculed instead of just like working with people, talking with people, you know, getting things done in the background. People always want to be in the spotlight, and that's the problem. People need to work in the background, getting things done and getting things moving. I don't need somebody to talk my ear off. I don't need a preacher. That's the problem. We are so attracted to preachers and people teaching, saying things that make us feel good, but we need to see the works. We need to see the work before anybody talks. If you got something down and you got something moving, then you can tell me about it. I don't want to hear nothing that's a concept. I don't want to hear any high concept. I want something that's already on the ground moving. Then you can tell me what your ideology is and see it being fulfilled in the works that you're doing. Because we ain't nobody should talk. I shouldn't talk. Nobody else should talk unless they got something on the ground. So that there's something already going on so that we can move forward.
I agree with that. This question here is actually a good one. Can we follow an imperfect leader? When shit hits the fan, are you still a fan? Does the point still stand regardless of a person's flaws? Or are those, let me add to that, or are those flaws proof that you shouldn't be any type of leader? I never thought that Umar was going to build a school. I never thought that, from the very beginning, I never thought that there was a school and he just changed his mind. I just thought it was a hustle for him to get money. And now that we see, you know what I mean, even more so, it's a hustle where he's like, hey, my bank account is frozen, so send me some money so I can eat and stuff. I think it's just, it's unraveling. These guys aren't making the money that they used to. People are way more cynical now. And like you said, people have a lot more pressures in life in general. Like eggs are $10 a box. Nobody really cares about, you know, Pan-Africanism and all of that. And there's so many pockets and subcultures. You got BIPOC, FBA, ADOS, Pan-African. It's just a lot. And life is already complex. So are people just fatigued?
Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's just fatigued with everything. I mean, especially the shit that's going on now. We don't know how the economy is going to look with all these tariffs. We don't know whether the rules are going to be enacted. We don't even know we dealing with a dictator. So I don't know. Sometimes I just, after I get off of work, I just want to just chill and just not think about any of this stuff. And that's the goal of the fatigue. But then again, like, you know, when we don't do anything, then more of this stuff continues. So, I mean, are we willing to put in the work in order to stop these things and make these things happen? Or are we just, you know, just take the soma, as you will, and just, you know, just say, fuck it.
I think more fuck it is going on now.
Yeah. And that's where I'm at. I mean, like, we not in survival mode. We have to be in survival mode in order for it to change. And we just too comfortable and we got too many distractions. So, yeah.
Don't I say that all the time, though, Saint? I say that all the time. It's like you can be as mad as you want, but then football happens on Sunday and you forget what you were mad about.
Exactly. Yeah, it was nice talking with y'all. I'm gonna have to get going. Yeah. So you say you're gonna do this every Friday. All right, that's good. All right, well, it was nice talking with y'all. Y'all have a great night. And yeah.
All right, shout out to James coming up with the good topics. Even with the trolling, I thought it was excellent. Okay. You know, I like feeding off the trolling and the good questions. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. This was my welcome back. Thank you for the cash apps.
I gotta say, I want to make a comment.
Yeah, of course. Wait, no, Saint. Thank you to everyone for being here. Thank you, chat, for getting down and being funny. You guys didn't miss a beat. I'm going to try to clip this up so I can throw up little clips. I don't want to go past 2 hours because I don't want to give y'all too much. But I did want to say hello and remind you we are back on the block with Jen. We're going to be up every Friday and we'll just recap the week's hot trending topics. I got a business going that I'm going to launch early January. February 2026. You guys are gonna be shocked at what I'm doing, but I am going to be a boss. No Saint and I will be doing Man on the Street in Las Vegas in September. Okay, so you'll see us on the street asking people questions on the Las Vegas Strip. Early October, I will be interviewing my attorney, who's also on the Diddy defense team. Okay, and so I'm gonna drag him over to Val the Voice, culture coaches and hip hop co-creators, and I'll be talking with my attorney. We're gonna be interviewing him about the Diddy verdict and sentencing. Okay, so this is an exclusive. He is on the Diddy defense team. So that's going to be exciting. So we got a lot of juicy stuff coming up. You have to hit like and subscribe. Rock with us. If you have any suggestions for topics, you know how I do. Slide in my DMs or leave it in the comment section. I'm really back for you guys. I did miss you guys. You guys were DMing me and inboxing me about coming back. If you watched us before, you were part of the team before, you were part of the block before, you are welcome to come back. Even if I kicked your ass to the curb, by all means, come back. And if you want to hash it out and talk about why we don't talk no more or what happened, I'm an open book. You guys can ask me whatever. Just be ready for the truth and the answers, because I'm going to give you the whole truth. So don't ask no shit that you don't want the answer to. Thank you so much. Don't forget, if you want to support Cash App on the block with Jen, because I can't do super chats. YouTube has blocked me until I get my views back up. And then No Saint wanted to share something with you all.
Now, I just wanted to comment on what you're talking about, the subject with Umar Johnson. Didn't Jen tell you guys that Umar Johnson was a charlatan? Put a 1 in the chat if Jen told you. Didn't I tell you guys? Didn't we tell you Umar Johnson was a charlatan? Put a 1 in the chat, please. Didn't I tell you and Jen tell you that Umar Johnson was a charlatan? Put a 1 in the chat. Listen, I mean, nothing's new under the sun, as they say, right? There's always people coming in taking money. And the other thing is, we're all looking for a leader. We're all looking for somebody that can lead us. And especially, you see someone in the comments said exactly what I was thinking was, you had Brother Polite doing the same thing, taking people's money, saying he's building some apartments in Cleveland. He was standing at a site that wasn't even his and claiming it as, this is the apartment buildings we're building, the little small, the little cargo containers or what it is, yeah, but when you're in it and especially when you get in it and you start to believe, then the hard part is to start seeing it that you've been fooled, and so you still want to believe, but yeah, it's a sad situation, but like I said, it's not new. I mean, there's going to be somebody else right behind them. So that's it. Anyway, listen, the chat was on fire. Couple of my favorite comments were when you were talking about the inventions and somebody put in there the bonnet. I thought that was hilarious. Yeah, the chat was on fire. I love the chat. Anyway, I'll let you take over.
All right, guys, so you know what it is. Hit that like and subscribe. Thank you. If you're new here, stick around. I am going to be doing this. Adam is silly. I'm going to be doing this once a week. We'll recap again the week prior. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please hit me up in the comments or in the DMs. If you guys want to plan a show with me, a specific show with me, and you want to be on the screen, let me know about that. If you want to promote something, please don't be whack. I don't promote whack shit, so please don't be whack. But if you want to promote your channel or whatever, I'd love to see some of the faces from the past. I'd love to see you back up here if you're watching. What's up, bitch? Yeah, bitch. And you know who I'm talking to. If you felt that right now, then it was you. And hopefully we'll get to see you. I did reach out to some folks, so maybe we'll see them in the future. But we're going to try to do this once a week, only because Mama's very busy. Like I said, I'm going to launch my business early 2026. But we got some juicy stuff coming for you, exclusives and all of that, per usual. We'll just be on a little less, but I got to get my numbers and views back up. So the more you share, the more you view, the more you hit like and subscribe, the easier it'll be for us to come back and continue to bring you this content. We got a lot more to talk about, okay? But I just wanted to say hello and welcome all the block stars back to the block. So I will be seeing y'all. Good night. And I'm going to get my sound right. My mic wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing, okay? But I'm going to get it right for y'all. Hopefully y'all heard me okay. All right, guys. So good night. Gracias. Bye. And I'm out. Mwah.